everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're looking at the Friday NBA slate. We have 8 games tonight starting at 7:30, so a lot to touch on, so let's get started. As always, appreciate you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. See if we can get 150 likes on the video, that would be much appreciated. We're due for a big day in the NBA. Things last a couple weeks with all the COVID stuff have kind of made the slates be like super popular and players be like super high owned. So it's been a little bit tough to get different, but tonight, depending on some of the Celtics news, it could kind of get a little bit back to normal, which would be nice. So let's get into it. We'll go game by game, and looking for a night where we actually have to sweat some things. That will be fun. Starting off here in the first game, Orlando and Boston. The Celtics still dealing with some injuries. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Tice is questionable. Robert Williams is out, and Tatum is out. So I think Semi is also questionable. So there is still some pieces questionable on the Celtics. If Brown is back, that will definitely help. He's 8,900 though, so they kind of priced him up just because they know that Tatum is out in this one. So Brown will get a nice bump in production, but 89 he's kind of priced where he kind of should be. He's already priced up for the fact that Tatum will be out. And then the point guards, they have Pritchard, Teague, so not like either one of them are must plays. So I think on the Boston side, you could look to like Tristan Thompson if Tice misses. Then he would get a ton of minutes at center. But just going to take a wait-and-see approach and see if some of these questionable tags turn into guys playing. Because if Brown misses and Tice misses, then you're going to want to look at Jeff Teague, Pritchard. They would be a lot better plays. Smart. At 76 for Smart, that's kind of a high price tag already. On the Orlando side, they're still very short-handed. Yeah, Vucevic at 9,000 who's been just killing it recently, just because they just have so many guys out, and he's going to have to play a ton of minutes and just absorb so much more usage. So he looks like a strong option against the Celtics team. I do like Gordon. 73 is kind of priced a little bit higher now that he's going back to playing his normal minutes. So I think I do prefer Vucevic here, but you could look to Gordon if you want a cheaper option. And then they play Bacon, James Ennis. They both play some. Ross plays a decent amount off the bench, but if you needed to go cheap, you could look to like Ennis at 3,100, but they've kind of been taking it easy on him with the minutes. And then Cole Anthony just hasn't been able to shoot the ball well at all, shooting under 20% from three. Just it's always a roller coaster if you roster him because he's kind of frustrating to watch shoot the ball. So I think in the first game you probably can look to like Vucevic as a nice option. Plug him in at $9,000 to get a piece of Orlando. Second game, you have the Knicks and the Cavs. The Cavs are still without Sexton, Garland. We'll see if Taurean Prince and Jarrett Allen are available to make their debuts tonight. If they're not, then you can go back to like Osman, who's 62, so he's not like a core piece, but he still looks fine just with the point guards out, with Sexton and Garland out. I do think I kind of prefer going a bit cheaper than Osman, like at that same position. I think I'd go to like Okoro if Prince is unavailable, just because you're getting like 34 to 36 to close to 40 minutes from him on a nightly basis. He's not the most best player in point per minute production, but like really bad. 35 minutes, averaging 16 Draftkings points, but he's going to be out there for like 40 minutes, like 35 to 40 minutes. Probably run into some production, but don't think I have too much interest right now in like Dotson is 52, so I think there's some better plays. And then on the Knicks side, I do like Randall just because he plays so many minutes. He played 40 minutes. He put up 50 Draftkings points. They are getting some guys. Well, they played Obi Toppin was available. He only played half a minute last game, but he should get worked into the rotation eventually. And then they did sign Taj Gibson, so we'll see if Tibbs plays in 40 minutes tonight. But don't think this game is going to be super high scoring. Both offenses have kind of struggled to shoot and score recently. Like the Knicks cannot buy a bucket besides Randall, and the Cavs are just they're just not going to be able to score the ball effectively without Sexton and Garland. Third game, you have the Mavs and the Bucks. Porzingis is back. Played last game. Only played 21 minutes, but he did take 16 shots. But still going to take it easy on him. I'm not going to expect him to come out and play like 30-plus minutes tonight. Giannis at 10-8 definitely looks fine. He gives you a high floor and a high ceiling. It's a spot where this game hopefully we'll stay close now that the Mavs have Porzingis back. But yeah, if you want to go up to Giannis, I think that's fine. And then I'm not playing $6,900 Tim Hardaway. It's just too high of a price tag. And then you've seen Luka at 11,000. His price tag has taken a bit of a jump. Had a big game last time out. Had 6 stocks last game, and then he had like a triple double the game before. So he's kind of gone back to normal 370 plus point performances from Luka in the last 4 games. So both him and Giannis, if you want to stack this game up, you probably start with those two, and then you can go with some value plays. Drew Holiday is probable, so if he was questionable, that would open up some things. But all in all, I think like Luka's price where he should be. Giannis is kind of priced where he's kind of been all season. Middleton is expensive, so you can target this game. I think there's some other spots that I do like this next game. We have the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. You have the Timberwolves be a little bit shorthanded tonight without Gomez, Layman, and Rubio. So that's going to open up more minutes for McLaughlin as the backup point guard. Probably see some decent run, but they also probably give more minutes to Jared Culver at 38, to Josh Okogie, who I think looks like a good value play at 3,600. Just going to play probably 30 plus minutes tonight without Gomez, Layman, and Rubio. And he's only 3,600, so you don't need him to go out there and put up like 30 DraftKings points. Gets you in the 20s, you'll be happy. And I think even though he doesn't take a lot of shots, he's a guy that does get you some rebounds and is a decent guy in the blocks and steals department. So at least in the blocks department. And he can run into some steals if he's out there for 30 plus minutes. I think he looks like a good value on the team. I like him a little bit better than Culver just because it seems like Okogie, they like to give him more minutes. And yeah, it seems like he was decent last season with the team. And then you have center. Karl Anthony Towns is below 10K. I think paying up at both center and utility with 2 centers, I think makes sense. Towns back to playing like full minutes after missing a handful of games with a wrist injury, but looked great last couple that he's played. Played 34 minutes, put up 52 DraftKings points. Was solid. It gives you blocks upside, averaging almost 3 blocks per game. That's really nice to see. He takes a lot of threes, good shooter, and he gets a ton of usage. So, guy like Towns, like him more than Russell, who's 83, and then Beasley is 71. He had a huge game, took 23 shots last game, but I don't feel great about paying 71 for him. And then on the Memphis side, if John Moran is back, that's going to just make some of the other guys less appealing, like Kyle Anderson, Dylan Brooks. See if Morant can make his return. Then we have Chicago and OKC. The Bulls are finally back on a slate. They missed quite a bit of time with COVID reasons, and then a couple games got postponed. But we're coming back to them, seeing Zach LaVine at 95 and Kobe White at 74. Those guys were a lot better priced earlier in the season. Like, I would take a shot on LaVine at 95, but I do like Karl Anthony Towns and Vucevic. Both a little, like Towns at only $400 more, and Vucevic is $500 less. Think that's a definitely a high price tag, especially when you're getting Markkanen back at 59. And yeah, so they do have a lot of guys that will play now that Markkanen is back. They're not as shorthanded as they were. They're still missing Satoransky, and we'll see if Arcidiacono doesn't look like he will be back. So still going to get good minutes for like Kobe White, but he's 74. It's kind of priced where he should be. I think if you want to get a piece of this game, you can probably look to SGA, who's only 7,700 against the Bulls. Next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks against the Utah Jazz. The Hawks coming into this game with Trae Young priced at only 8,700. I like to jump on guys, especially stars, when the price tags have come down, and we go from Trae Young being over 10,000, 10-1, 10-2, 98, 96, 94, down to 87. It's against Utah, who's a good defensive team, but like Trae Young, if he gets hot, it doesn't matter who's the opposing team is. He's going to shoot. Put up 45 DraftKings points in just 25 minutes his last game. He's starting to play a lot better, and now they're just dealing with some injuries with Bogdanovic is out, so you're getting another ball handler who's missed a couple games already. But that's just going to help Trae Young have the ball in his hands even more. So I think Young is in line for another solid game. Definitely like Young more than Donovan Mitchell at just 84. I think Young gives you a higher floor and a higher ceiling. And then you could look to like Capella against Gobert, just because they're going to need Capella out there. And I don't mind going Gobert if you don't want to play Vucevic or Towns, because should have some success, and he's going to have to play a lot of minutes against Collins and Capella. And then you can look to DeAndre Hunter, 6,000. He's been playing really well for the team and actually been consistent, which is something that you didn't see last season. So 6,000 can hit you 6x upside at that price tag. And that is mainly it. Like Clarkson has been playing better, but 61, you're still going to need him to have another really high or another game where he's going to have to make like 50% of his shots to hit value. Moving on, we have the Pelicans and the Lakers. Pelicans had Nickeil Alexander-Walker go absolutely nuts last game, and he's only 4,400, so I don't know why he's not priced up more, because Lonzo Ball is already out for this contest, and Bledsoe's still questionable. Even if Bledsoe returns, you should still see Walker start, and he probably play good minutes, like play as many minutes as Lonzo would have played. 44 is just too cheap, even though the matchup is tough. And then if Bledsoe's out, you could look to JJ Redick at only 38. He's going to have to play a lot more off the bench. Then Ingram and Zion is back also, but don't think either one are must plays against the Lakers team. Probably just go with Walker as a nice cheap option. And then the Lakers just haven't been getting to them this season. Haven't played very many of them unless whenever Davis has rested. I don't think I'll start tonight, even though it's a good spot, but just tough to get to them when when they're pretty much all healthy, because they have a lot of guys that will contribute. And the last game, we have the Clippers and the Kings. The Clippers are still bringing Morris off the bench, Marcus Morris, because Batuma's played well, but still getting Morris at a really nice price tag at 37. One of these days, he's going to come out and definitely be able to hit you like, I'd say like 7 to 8x upside at this price tag. Maybe even get dropped like 30 drafting points if he comes off the bench and just starts playing well. I think it's worth a shot. Probably go stars and scrubs tonight with like Towns, Vucevic, and Trae Young. So 37 for Morris, a guy that's going to play 20 to 25 minutes at least off the bench against the Sacramento Kings, who don't play defense. Should be a high-scoring game. I'm expecting Morris to be able to hit value at a very cheap price tag. And then you can look to like Fox, who's 81 now, so he's not as much of a play. And Buddy Hield is probable. He played a really nice game last time, but 69 is still. It's not a terrible price tag when you have Halliburton same price tag, but it's not. It's a lot tougher matchup against the Clippers. And then Clippers are another team that I don't get to very often, just because they're all like George and Leonard are the two guys you want, but both guys are above 9K. Only play them whenever one of the other guys is out. So all in all, I see if Beverly is questionable. Beverly's questionable, and I think maybe Lou Williams also questionable. That would open up some things if one or both of them miss, but we'll have to take a wait and see approach, and it is a 10 o'clock game, so we might not get enough. We might not get word by 7. So that's kind of it for the breakdown for this 8-game slate. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. Let's go over to FanDuel now. All right, on FanDuel here, starting off at point guard, you have Luka priced all the way up at 11.6. Probably a little bit tough to get to that price tag. I like Trae Young at only 88. And then Fox is only 73. It doesn't make a lot of sense at that price tag. I'll jump on De'Aaron Fox again. Really cheap price tag compared to DraftKings. Kobe White is only 64, so another guy that looks great. Like 64 for Kobe White is definitely a price tag to take a shot with. And maybe one of these Celtics guys if they're still dealing with a lot of injuries. But yeah, that's kind of it for the point guard position. You could look to Cole Anthony or George Hill as cheap punt plays. But I do like Fox a ton. And then shooting guard, I like Zach LaVine because you need 2 shooting guards here. So he looks better. He's $500 cheaper than he is on DraftKings. Russell looks solid at 75. Tim Hardaway, just because they're going to be shorthanded again. But 65 with Porzingis back. Kind of pushing it a little bit. And then you could look to like Buddy Hield. He's still been cheap all season, 57. Maybe the Knicks can get some shooting back in Burks, but he's missed a lot of time. So, I mean, it'll be kind of funny for Tibbs to play him 35 minutes tonight. But who knows with him. Probably still going to want to look at Nickeil Alexander-Walker's 55. So he's not as cheap as he was, but I still think he looks really good at shooting guard with having to roster 2 of them. Small forward, we have like Kawhi and LeBron, both guys above 95. I'd probably go to Brown if he plays, just with Tatum out. Ingram looks fine against his former team. He's gonna have some revenge on his mind. 8,800. He could have a big game tonight. Beasley is 64. Maybe take a shot on Beasley. So there's not a ton that jumps off. Chetty Osman looks fine, but if Prince is back, or if Prince makes his debut, then and it seems like the coach doesn't like to play Osman a ton when he's not playing well. So there is some risk over there, but maybe you can look to Derek Culver, who's pretty cheap at 41, or Josh Okogie, who is only 3,900 here. And you also have Cam Reddish. He's only 45, so I think he looks like a nice cheap option. Oh, he's shooting guard now. Have probably just stick with maybe you could look to Hunter at 6,000. Not super affordable, not super cheap. There's not a ton at this position, so definitely think small forward is going to be a spot where you're going to have to make some. You're going to have to dig pretty deep and think about pretty nice. Not like point guard where we just plug in Fox and maybe Kobe White. We'll see. Maybe Josh Hart if Bledsoe's out still. Just plug in Hunter for now and kind of make a decision as we go on. Power forward, looking at Randall at 9,100. Maybe you can go all the way up to Giannis if you want to. Jared Allen is power forward eligible. If he plays, we'll see, because it looks like Drummond is still going to play, so they'll probably split some time until they trade Drummond. But Gordon is just really cheap at 65. Same thing with John Collins. They look really solid. Could look to Markkanen in his return at 64. Brandon Clark's been playing great at 56. And then, don't know if you need to go to Morris, but he's really cheap at 38. And then Thompson, if Tyson misses, he's only 44. That would be nice. Gordon at 65, no longer on a minutes limit. Definitely a spot where I would want to be on. And then center here, you have Vucevic, who looks great at 94. You have Towns at 10.8. Probably pay up for one of the two, especially when you have Gobert at 8K and Holmes is priced all the way up to 72. You could take a look at Carter or Capella as cheaper options, but I do think that one of Vucevic and Towns is going to have a really big game, so I'll probably go with Towns. Think he could have his first 60-burger tonight. So, yeah, that's basically it for the breakdown. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and best of luck.